Hey everybody, welcome back to Homesteading Off the Grid and another morning ramble. Guys, I'm going to start this morning's ramble by giving a big shout out to Joni Allen and her 84-year-old mother, Charla. Joni left a very endearing comment on the channel yesterday. It really touched me. She said that her 84-year-old mother has started asking if that guy is on yet. That guy would be me. And she said, thanks for giving us something to look forward to. So I guess Joni Allen's 84-year-old mother, Charla, enjoys these morning rambles if no one else does. So, Joni, you and your mother are getting a crayon from me today up here in our field of faith. I'm sitting here underneath our Ornaments of Inspiration tree. So thank you for letting me know that. And I've got a very special treat for your mother today. I'm going to take her for a walk down Christmas Memories Lane, decade by decade. And I want to give a shout out to Joan B too, who also gave a very good Christmas gift idea I want to share with you quickly here. She was talking about how when her children started getting older and the gifts started getting more expensive, she came up with this 5-gift policy. So I wanted to share this with you guys because I think it's ingenious. She said, okay, they had to pick something they want, something they need, something they wear, and something to read. And then the 5th gift was a surprise of her choosing. I thought that was really ingenious, so I wanted to share that. So, Joni Allen's mother, Charla, is 84 years young, and she would have been born in 1934. And that was just, pardon my voice, guys, I'm still getting over that cold. But I just thought, wow, what has this woman seen since 1934? She's seen things that we can't imagine, and she's seeing things today in 2018 that I'm sure back in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s she couldn't have imagined. And since we're coming up on Christmas time here, just 2 weeks away or less actually, I thought, why don't we take Miss Charla, for being so kind. You know, her daughter let me know that she actually waits around in the morning for these rambles. Let's take her for a walk down Christmas Memories Lane. I made a list, and we're going to talk about what the most popular Christmas gifts were by decade throughout Miss Charla's lifetime. So she was born in 1934, the 30s. Big swing, big band swing music was raging. We had already won the war to end all wars, you know, finished that in 1917, not knowing that the real one was right around the corner of the next decade. But back then, what little kids were getting for Christmas, and let's see if Miss Charla remembers any of this, were Viewmasters, Buck Rogers ray guns, and colonial-style dollhouses. Now, the 40s come. We see World War II, or at least the United States participation in the war, the ending of the war. And little kids at Christmas time in the 40s were seeing Blackbird crystal radio sets, which could pick up signals up to 75 miles away, and they only cost $2.98. Gilbert electric trains, Gilbert erector sets, and portable electric phonographs or record players. Now comes the 1950s, when Betty Crocker was more popular than Kim Kardashian. We saw little kids at Christmas time throughout the 50s, and let's see if Miss Charlotte can remember this. She would have been, towards the end of that decade, a young adult. Maybe she had her first child around the end of this decade. Fisher-Price Little People, collar forms. That's the wind. It sounded strange. There's some leaves up there rattling. Mr. Potato Head. In the 1950s is when Matchbox cars, I guess, were huge for the first time. Play-Doh, Gumby, and the Pogo Stick. Now, the 1960s. What can we say about the 1960s? I think what I've heard it best said about the 60s is that if you can remember the 60s, you weren't there. Well, I can't remember them because I wasn't there. I didn't come around until 1973. But, you know, the 1960s, love and peace and Vietnam. What was popular with kids at Christmas? Chatty Cathy, a talking doll that gave Barbie a run for her money as far as sales went. The Ken doll was popular. Barbie's Dream House, the Easy Bake Oven, G.I. Joe action figures, Tonka trucks, and the Etch-a-Sketch. Now, moving into the 1970s. You know, they say middle age is 40. When you're 40, you're middle age. So, let's see. Miss Charlotte was born in 1934, so that meant she hit 40, middle-aged in 1974. 1974, the year of the inevitable impeachment of Richard Nixon. The writing was on the wall. He knew it was coming, so he resigned. I was born in 73, so that's who was president when I was born. And Miss Charla has beaten the odds. She's beaten time because she's 84, because in 1976, actually, as of this point, would have been midlife for her. But we know she's got many years left in front of her, many more mornings to look forward to these morning rambles. So in the 1970s, the popular toys at Christmas were the Nerf ball. Came out in 1970. It was touted as the world's first indoor ball. And here it is, 2018, and me and my son Daniel love to pass his Nerf football down here in the field all these years later. Weebles. I remember that. I mean, I was a little kid in the 70s. I remember the commercial. Weebles wobble, but they won't fall down. You couldn't knock them down. The little toys, they had fat bottoms. You couldn't knock them down. Skateboards made a comeback. It's kind of retro. The Evel Knievel stunt cycle. I remember Evel Knievel when I was a kid. And the pet rock, the invention we all wish we'd have come up with. Somebody became a millionaire off of selling rocks. Okay, 1980s. Big hair. The men wore makeup as much as the girls, at least in the rock videos. The Rubik's Cube was one of the most popular toys at Christmas in the 1980s. Okay, so let's see. Miss Charlotte was born in 34, so by 84 she was 50. It's possible she might have been becoming a grandmother around this time. So maybe some of these toys throughout the 80s she got for her grandchildren. Okay, Miss Charlotte may have seen her grandchildren get a Masters of the Universe. Remember that? He-Man? I was big into He-Man. The Glowworm. The Cabbage Patch Kids. Gosh, we remember those, don't they? Or don't we? Transformers was big. Transformers has made a big comeback here in recent years. I remember when I was a kid, I had so many Transformer toys. Teddy Ruxpin, that talking teddy bear. I remember he had a television show too. And the Nintendo Entertainment System. It looks like in the 80s is the first time we saw the video games showing up in mass like that. Now, the 1990s. Miss Charla is getting up into her 60s here. She's probably starting to draw Social Security during the 90s. I went off to college, got out of college in 90, or out of high school in 92, graduated college in 98. Let's see. Talk Boy. I guess that's the thing from the movie Home Alone. That became popular because of that movie. Pogs, the little circular discs you'd throw down and try to take the other kids' pogs. Super Soaker water guns were popular in the 90s. Power Rangers were very popular in the 90s, the Power Ranger figurines. Tickle Me Elmo and Pokemon in the 90s. They're still kind of popular today. My son, who's only 7, has some Pokemon cards, but I remember them very well in the 90s. Furbies and Beanie Babies. Remember the Beanie Babies craze? Everybody thought they were going to get rich off of Beanie Babies. Sunk a lot of toys or a lot of money into them, buying $10, $20 little 50-cent stuffed animals that are now worth maybe 10 cents. Okay, yeah, the Beanie Baby bubble kind of preceded the tech bubble. All right, now the 2000s, turn of the century. Here, Miss Charlotte, born in 1934, is she seeing Y2K? Everybody's panicking. They're stocking water and canned goods in their basement because at 1999, party over, oops, out of time, just like His Majesty Prince said in the song from the 1980s. Y2K came to nothing, and I'm sure Miss Charlotte had enough common sense in her head to know it after what she'd seen, you know, a World War, Vietnam, all these things. Okay, Cuban Missile Crisis in the 60s. Okay, so the first part of this century, the aughts, the 00s. Tamagotchi. The little electronic pets that were on keychains that you had to feed so many hours or they would die. Ooh, those became big. This is where I guess technology really started replacing live creatures or whatever and people and relationships. Polly Pocket, those tiny little dolls. Rock Band and Guitar Hero. Remember Guitar Hero? A lot of you millennials out there remembering this stuff. You millennials, oh yeah, I remember Guitar Hero. Game Boy Advance. Littlest Pet Shop Playhouse. Had those little tiny little animal figurines. The Sims. This is when people started getting sucked up into virtual reality and playing this game where they live these little computer lives online. And then there were some retro toys. This was the Easy Bake Oven and the Light Bright. And this is probably because the people who were buying these for their children as parents were children the first time these toys were popular. much like the skateboard in the 70s was popular, probably because the people buying them for their children were doing so because they had a skateboard in the 50s when they were children. It's all a pattern. It's all cyclical. Now, the last 10 years and the big shock of today, which shocked me when I found out what last year's #1 Christmas gift was, and the way it was marketed was ingenious and very ironic for this video. Okay, so in the last 10 years, the teens of the 2000s, the most popular Christmas gifts have been Paw Patrol. Legos have made a huge comeback. All things Legos, Star Wars, Transformers, anything Legos, Ninjutsu, Nintendo Switch, Star Wars Droid Inventor Kit, and the big shock of the day, last year, 2017's #1 biggest Christmas gift, and what's in the running for 2018, was something called fingerlings. They were, when I think of fingerlings, I think of little baby trout they stock in the heads of streams back in Appalachia. But these fingerlings are like little robot monkeys that go around your fingers. And what is really neat about this is that they never ran commercials for these things on television. All the advertising was done on YouTube. How ironic is that? Here we are on YouTube, and last year's biggest selling Christmas gift was fingerlings, marketed exclusively on YouTube. I've been telling dearly. My mind makes connections, and I kind of see how things are going. Mark my words on this one. 10 years from now, the biggest stars in Hollywood are not going to be people who made their way to the big screen from television shows or even other movies. I really think it's going to be people who got their start on YouTube, maybe other forms of social media. But guys, this is where we are, and it's certainly where we're going. So, again, Joni Allen, thank you very much for letting me know that your 84-year young mother, Charla, actually looks forward to these morning rambles. That really made my day. I mean, it was a very simple comment, but it was very endearing, and it's one that really made me feel like coming up here and doing what I do every day is worth doing, even if it's just for that one 84-year young lady, Charla, who looks forward to it. So, Charla, this is for you and your daughter. I hope you enjoyed this walk down Christmas memory lane. We started back with the big band, swing band era of your very, very young youth, up through your middle age, the inevitable impeachment of Nixon, to the big shocker of today being that people are buying these little robotic monkeys marketed on YouTube. You've seen all that, and that amazes me. Miss Charla, you're an amazing woman. I wish you a very Merry Christmas, and I wish a Merry Christmas to everybody watching. That's it for today. I'm going to give you a beautiful parting shot of the homestead. I'm going to get down here and take advantage of this heat wave we're having. It's going to be 58 degrees today, and I'm going to cut up some more firewood for next week when it gets cold again. We'll see you for more next time.